Hi, I am joined by Martin Rolfe, the CEO of NATS. How are you, Martin?
I'm very well, thank you.
What will it take to reach net zero emissions for aviation?
It's going to take a massive effort by the whole industry. Now, the industry is absolutely in line with doing that. There's no shortage of ambition, but it's going to take the right policy, government policies around supporting sustainable aviation fuels. It's going to take technology, both on the ground and in the air. It's going to take new vehicles, new engines, advent of hydrogen fuel. It's going to take all of those things with everybody pulling together in the right framework where it's not distorting markets in order to be able to achieve that net zero by 2050.
So you talk about collaborations there. How are those going so far?
I think industry collaboration, particularly in the UK, is going pretty well. I think one of the biggest challenges we've got is with sustainable aviation fuels and the infrastructure to deliver those. They still make up a very, very small percentage of the overall amount of fuel that's being used. So I think those collaborations probably need to be accelerated. That's a challenge because that requires investment. Investment requires the right policies, and the right policies obviously have to come from government. Now, government's being very supportive, both on the ground and in the air, but I think if we're going to meet the ambitious challenges that we've got ahead of us, then we have to accelerate some of those.
And so when do you predict that it might all come into fruition?
Well, I think we're already seeing it. So I think, if you look back even over the last, probably 10 to 15 years, we've had sustainable aviation through ATAG and other organisations. And actually, if we take NATS, which I'm CEO of, we have been doing effectively sustainable operations for a long while in terms of trying to improve the fuel efficiency of aircraft flying through UK airspace by shortening routes, straightening routes, reducing holds, all the kind of things that you would do just to reduce the fuel usage and therefore reduce CO2. So I think it's already happening. I think it needs to accelerate. This has got to be the decade where we make a big step change. We can't be standing here in 2030 and say we've got to do something. It has to be now.
And how are you working with the industry to make this happen?
So our biggest contribution is around airspace modernisation. So the airspace above us that everybody flies through in the UK was probably designed in the 1970s. And the way I would probably describe it is it's like a network of B roads. So rather than motorways, rather than being very structured, rather than being very efficient, it's sort of grown up historically. What we're doing now is a massive modernisation of that, and government's been very supportive of that. So above certain flight levels, so above about 20,000 feet, we want to have free route airspace. That means people can fly exactly where they like. The airlines can take the shortest routes, the most fuel efficient routes. And below that, as you get close to the ground, as we sequence them into and out of airports, we have to make sure it's completely routine. Effectively, everything is planned from start to finish. We slow aircraft up or speed them up 500 miles out, 400 miles out, get them in a sequence so that nobody holds, nobody ends up wasting a single gram of fuel over the course of their journey. Everything as fuel efficient as we can possibly make it.
Wow, that sounds ambitious. What challenges are you facing within that plan?
The biggest challenge with modernisation of airspace is the consultation with those on the ground. So obviously if you have planes flying over you, you probably prefer to have less. If you don't currently have planes flying over you, then you don't want future planes flying over you. So a lot of it is about the right kind of consultation. Making sure the public is aware that aviation is a force for good. Aviation is not the enemy here, carbon's the enemy. So finding ways to get that message across. The other challenge in all of this is noise. So effectively, people don't want to be disturbed by noise. So the advent of electric aircraft, particularly for short haul routes, so local stuff, I think will make a massive difference. Those are the big challenges we face, and the rest I think is around investment on a wider scale.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Martin.
Thank you very much.